family support is one of the most powerful variables in a person's healing journey. And it's not because families can simply fix the pain, but because families can either amplify stress or they can amplify healing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pain Free for Life podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rob Bambergen, and today we're tackling a topic that I think so many families quietly struggle with, and that is, how do you support someone you love who's living in chronic pain? Now, pain affects absolutely everyone in the household, so let's not lie about that. It's not just the person experiencing it. It affects routines and relationships. It will impact communication, expectations, stress levels, even emotional well-being as well. And when you're the loved one watching someone you care about struggle, it's very common to feel helpless and worried, and even confused and tired. And in many cases, just unsure of what to say or do, or even just frustrated with the person. But here's the crucial truth to this. Family support is one of the most powerful variables in a person's healing journey. And it's not because families can simply fix the pain, but because families can either amplify stress or they can amplify healing. And it is entirely their choice. Now, this episode is your guide to stepping into the healing role in a grounded, supportive, and holistic way. First time I think I've done one of these where we're talking about not the patient, but the family who forms part of the care team. So to understand this, I suppose we should start with talking about what pain actually represents. Pain isn't just a physical sensation. It isn't just a symptom. Pain is a protective output of the brain and the nervous system. It is designed to protect you as much as it sucks when you experience it. It's influenced by emotional state and stress. Past traumas can impact this too. Sleep quality and immune activity. Inflammation levels. Obviously, inflammation and pain are intimately connected. There can be environmental issues, relationships, safety cues, fear and uncertainty. These things can all be involved in influencing this pain threshold. This is why two people can both have the exact same injury, right? So say they both break a pinky finger, and they can experience completely different levels of pain. So pain, importantly, is not a measure of personal strength. It is not a measure of character. It is not a measure of willpower or resilience. Pain is a measure of perceived threat in your nervous system. So when the nervous system feels overwhelmed or unsafe or unsupported, overloaded, whatever, pain increases, even without worsening physical damage. So this means that the family environment can either calm that nervous system down, therefore reducing your pain, or it can activate the nervous system, intensifying it. So understanding this is the first step in becoming a healing presence, right? The environment you create for your loved ones suffering from pain will either calm them or activate them in that pain cycle. Now, let's talk about the emotional reality of living in pain. Before talking about how to support your loved one, I think it's important to acknowledge their emotional world. Most people living with chronic pain experience a bunch of things that you wouldn't think they would. They might experience guilt, right? They feel like a massive burden for needing help, for needing you to be willing to slow things down a bit, or to cancel or change plans, or even just asking for help, right? They can feel an immense guilt. And this can lead in a cycle to shame. They can feel broken, weak, or less than, right? Suddenly they no longer feel like they're able to contribute as well as they could or at all. And suddenly that shame overwhelms all. And then they experience fear. And fear is one of the things that keeps that nervous system in fight or flight. They fear that the pain will never go away. They fear that they will disappoint you. And they fear that they will be misunderstood and that they're pretending that it doesn't exist, right? And that it exists when it doesn't, that they're just trying to get attention. Fear is one of those things, though, because in that fear state, they enter that fight or flight mode, right? They're always living in fear. And this will lead them into this spiral of creating more inflammation instead of healing. People in pain will also feel isolation. Pain is invisible, right? If you're in a wheelchair, people know something happened to you. If you're just walking around, they don't. So people with pain will often feel unseen, even by the people closest to them, because you're not sitting there and being like, ooh, I can see you had to have your arm amputated. That's got to suck. I can really resonate that. I know that would hurt me. And your pain levels may be different than theirs, right? So they are struggling to have this idea that you understand that they're in pain because you don't see it. You don't feel it, right? You can't compare it to anything if you haven't experienced it. And even if you have, even if you've been in chronic pain and you've escaped chronic pain, it doesn't mean that their pain levels are different than yours, that their capacity is not the same, right? Their capacity may be different. And in many cases, it is. And they'll also experience exhaustion. And it isn't just physical exhaustion. And this is what often surprises people. The emotional toll of pushing through pain every day is totally exhausting. So at the end of a hard day, if you've ever had a hard day when you come home and I just want to go to bed, or I just want to sit in peace and quiet, they might be feeling that all the time, but they wouldn't have that. You might not think that they should, right? You might not feel that they can because, of course, they're in pain. They've not been doing anything. You're the one that's gone to work. You're the one that's worked hard. But for them, pushing through that pain to do the smallest thing could have been the biggest thing that they've ever done in their life. And so we can't compare apples to oranges here, right? We're different people. Everyone's different. And I think when you understand that these inner struggles are things that they are going through, your entire approach shifts from frustration to empathy and from pressure that you might be putting on them totally unintentionally into partnership. And that is huge to help them calm that environment down and to start to feel better. So, what do loved ones who are in pain need most out of all of this? This is where we're kind of moving into the practical, actionable parts of this episode, right? These are the core things that people in pain consistently say they wish their families understood. Okay, let's start with this one. This is huge. Validation, not minimization, okay? We may think we're being supportive, but statements like, you'll be fine, or it can't be that bad, or, other people have it worse, these don't help. They often worsen the emotional burden. And you may think that you are trying to help. And it seems the intention is there, right? You're reassuring them, you're going to be fine, right? Other people have it worse, right? It could be worse. Try instead to say things that affirm and validate them. Look, I believe you. I'm here for you. What do you need right now, right? I will help you. Or even just thank you for telling me. Validate them. Validation calms the nervous system down. This is the gateway to reducing pain. What about a calm environment, right? And predictability. Chaos, tension, arguments, unpredictability, these all amplify pain. I've had multiple patients in the past who have come to see me and They are doing things they don't want to do to satisfy other people. They're creating tension and they're doing these things spur of the moment. A calm home environment sends signals of safety to the brain, right? This might mean reducing chaotic loud noises. It might mean offering soft routines. Routines are really important for the body. Respecting rest times. If a person needs an afternoon nap because they can't handle the exhaustion of the day, respect it. Let them have it. What does it hurt you, right? Lowering the emotional volatility is important as well, right? If you can lower that for them, if you can lower that for you, if you can keep stability, you will help to improve their environment. And being predictable, being consistent. As a parent of an autistic kid, right? This is a big thing for this, and it is this nervous system imbalance. Something unexpected triggers fight or flight. And for you or I, maybe having a friend randomly show up at the door and be like, "Oh, can I come in?" is fine. But for a person in pain, suddenly this means they feel that they have to be on. They can't be themselves. They have to begin masking their pain so that they don't embarrass you, or they have to, step up when they maybe couldn't in that moment. Making predictable plans, staying consistent is massive for regulating the nervous system. This doesn't mean walking on eggshells, by the way. I don't think that pretending that they're fragile and are going to break is the right way to go. I'm not saying that. This just means being conscious of how your energy enters a room, right? Don't walk into the room and be like, "Hon, good morning," yelling it as you do, and set their nervous system alert, Be conscious of how you approach these things. Realize, recognize, watch, learn what impacts them, and ask them, So I'm curious, do loud noises impact you? Would you rather we had a breakfast routine, which we can get into, and start building these things together? Being included is something that I think that people in chronic pain want, but they want it on their terms, or they need it on their terms. And exclusion is often the way we go. We say, well, they're in pain, they're not going to be able to do this. They stop getting invited out with friends. I don't think that's what they want. I think what they want is to be able to participate, but it needs to be on the terms in which they can do it. That could mean so far as they're going to go out for drinks with a couple of friends, but their friends acknowledge the fact that maybe they are only going to be out for about an hour. And that's a huge win for them, right? And they still get to experience it. You get the relationship building, but it's not pressuring them to stay longer, getting mad at them for cutting things short or for not being available. It's inclusion, right? It's all about inclusion. Now, the next thing is people in pain don't need to be pushed. They need to be supported. So instead of "you need to move more," or "you should be better by now," or "you just need to try harder," you want to say, "Hey, do you want to go for a walk together for a few minutes?" Or "I'm proud of you for trying." Or even just "let's take things one step at a time." Encouragement nurtures hope. Pressure triggers shutdown. We want hope. We don't want shutdown. It's also important to help without taking over. We talked about this kind of already, but pain can steal independence from you. Family members should help without replacing autonomy. Okay. Healthy support would be things like offering help with tasks, but not insisting. If they want to wash the dishes, let them wash the dishes. Maybe offer to dry them, right? Get involved, but don't force it. Support their self-care routines. They may seem silly to you, but to them, they're everything. They're what get them through the day. So support it. Don't poo-poo it. Help organize appointments if you're asked, right? Organizing your daily calendar, at least for me anyway, is incredibly challenging. having support doing that can be great. And if they've got different appointments all over town and they're overwhelmed, take some of that overwhelm away. Say, okay, let's work this out together, right? Be the logic, because maybe in that moment they can't. And share responsibilities without resentment, right? That's the thing. Because it's easy to resent things that we don't feel that we should have to do. But I don't think that people in pain are asking for you to do everything. They're asking for you to understand that they need a little bit of extra help and that there are ways they can share the responsibility without having to take it all on themselves or too much that it causes them more problems. The goal here is empowerment. It's not dependency. You don't want them to need you to function. You want to empower them to function and help them along the way. Now, your loved one, they don't need grand gestures. They need your steady presence. The most healing support is consistent, predictable, non-reactive, patient, and honest. If you do these things, if you are a consistent, grounded person, this is going to be immensely powerful for their capacity to heal. Immensely. It is so powerful to have a grounded person that doesn't get overwhelmed from the slightest thing. If they're feeling like they're getting overwhelmed, you being able to just be patient and non-reactive and understanding, it goes a massive way to helping them solve their problems and be able to actually function in a way that empowers them further. All right, so how do families fit into the treatment plan? Because they're a big part of it. Because in this case, we can make the family support a therapeutic asset. And often people will find that their families are not, that they are a challenge. So I think it's important for the family to understand the treatment path. If you're working with a practitioner, ask the practitioner, what's the healing plan focused on? What daily routines matter the most to that success? What should we avoid at home that might make things worse? And ultimately, how can we help reinforce the work you're doing? Because when families understand the why to something, they can become aligned rather than just confused. Families can also support nervous system regulation. Holistic treatment always involves calming the nervous system. If your nervous system is up here, you can't heal. Now, we can help as families to keep the home environment stable, right? We can step up a little bit more. If we're sharing responsibilities 50-50 before, maybe it's 70-30 now. But we can step in and we can guide and help. We can encourage rest without guilt. It's okay. Have a nap. Lay down. Take a load off. It'll be fun. You can help maintain routines, right? Sometimes it's really hard to establish a routine, but once the routine is established, it is massive and it's really easy to do once it's established. But if you can help maintain and establish a routine for someone, you're giving them a tool that they can then use and you're empowering them yet again. You can practice grounding techniques together, right? You can go for little walks together, barefoot. You can really calm the body down. You can do some breath work together, some meditation together. You can be a part of it and they can see it as something that potentially you enjoy and you get benefit from too, and then not feel guilty asking for help. They can obviously, with microcurrent, they can help with the treatments. They can encourage you to do your treatments. Sometimes some of the best treatments that we can do will be better done with another person. For example, you can't really see your spine. And 3 pathways, one of our big protocols, is huge for so many issues. But you need to be able to treat the back for an extended period of time, 20 minutes or so. Having someone helping with these can be big. And even doing some of the understanding. As simple as we've tried to make microcurrent, if you are in a lot of chronic pain, I can see how you might find it confusing. So the partner being involved or a family member being involved in the treatment plan can help clarify confusion without the person feeling pressure to ask for help from an external source. These are all things that can benefit. But the important point is that your regulation, your ability to help them regulate and work with them to regulate yourself, supports them in regulating as well. Now, you can help maintain healing routines. Pain can make routines very, very difficult. You can support hydration. right? You can offer to fill up the glass of water. You can remind them. You could talk about light movement. Let's walk and get the mail, right? Come and look at this in the garden, right? Encourage them to do a little bit of movement. Breathing practices can be done, especially if they're in pain crisis, to really try and calm the body down. Keeping meal regularity can be huge too. Then they're getting the nutrients they need to rebuild. And regularity meaning establishing that routine, working through the meals at the times that they're supposed to exist, and not saying, yeah, we're just going to eat much later tonight because I don't really think we have it in us, right? These are things we want to avoid. Sleep hygiene, right? Don't be the partner that is, when your spouse, for example, is trying to keep the room clear of EMFs. Don't be the one that sits there on that big iPad with the blue light coming out of it while their partner is trying to sleep, right? Don't cause problems. Help them maintain that clear, calm space, right? That is going to improve their sleep and therefore improve their pain management. Help them with the microference sessions. I already mentioned that one. And mindfulness time. Being mindful of the world around us and of how we feel can really help them. Don't do these things by nagging them. Don't say, oh, did you do your microcurrent sessions today? But do it by participating. Did you want me to help you with your microcurrent treatment today? Well, give them space, right? Say, if you need privacy to do this, that's fine. I'll take the kids to the park, right? Little things that give them the time to focus on themselves. I think it's also important to reduce stresses. Look at your shared environment. Is it noisy, chaotic? Are responsibilities evenly shared? At the very minimum, they should be, especially if someone's in chronic pain. Are expectations reasonable? Do we think that it's reasonable to make a family member who has CPRS of the leg walk their dog every day? Potentially not, right? But it is potentially reasonable for them to put away the dishes. It's a lighter activity, right? Doesn't require as much movement, as much up and down heavy thing as dogs pulling them. There are things that maybe we can alter our expectations on here to provide massive benefit. And is there emotional safety in the home? If someone is entering a home and when they are home, they do not feel safe, then that is a problem. And this can be physical fear of safety, but also emotional, right? If they don't feel supported in their home, they will never have a place to rest and relax and be calm. Every stressor we remove is taking a little bit away from the nervous system deregulation and giving it a little bit more of a chance to heal. Communication is also important. There's so many things that are, right? This is turning into a pretty extensive episode here. When communication becomes reactive, pain increases. So there's some helpful tips for sure. We can speak calmly. We can avoid blame. We can avoid you should statements, right? You should be able to take out the trash is not helpful. Blaming them for not taking out the trash, not helpful either. Listen fully, right, when they're telling you things, because it might just be that they're giving you the hints you need to be able to succeed. And check in without hovering, guys, right? We don't need to baby our family members who are in pain, but we can still check in on them. Hey, did you want some? I'm just going to get myself some water. Did you want some? Right? There's no, I'm doing this for you. It's, while I'm up, I thought I would get this for you. It's checking in. It's not watching them like a hawk and taking away their independence by doing that. Unless they want it, but I think it's pretty rare that people want that 24/7. And clarify expectations. This goes both ways. What do you expect from me? And I'm willing to step up and do it. And here's what I would like from you, if you think you can do this. And build this plan together. Healthy communication will lower nervous system load. So some behaviors unintentionally make pain worse. Avoid dismissing their experience. Okay. This is something that most doctors do, and it makes people hate going to their doctors. Avoid becoming annoyed when they can't do something. You know, it may be frustrating that they forgot to or could not take out the trash, and therefore the trash got missed and it's going to pile up for another week. But it doesn't help you to become frustrated with them. And potentially it becomes a conversation point of maybe they can't do that. Maybe we need to do something else. Maybe switch a job or something. Avoid comparing them to others. Just because Sue's husband, who's in pain, has a similar issue, is totally fine and he's doing the gardening, doesn't mean that your partner is able to do the same thing, right? Do not compare people to others. It's not fair. Everyone's threshold is different. We've already talked about this. Avoid keeping score of who does more. Yeah, I do 8 out of 10 of the things that we need to do in the house, and you only do 2. Doesn't help, right? It just makes them feel guilty. It may be true, but that's okay if that's your plan. Keeping score totally negates your whole plan. Avoid blaming them for plans changing as well, right? These things happen. Canceling a getaway or a weekend camping trip or whatever it is because they're paying is too bad to do it. It should not be, I can't believe you made me miss out on this experience, right? You're a team. Your family is a team, a family unit, and you can look into helping each other rather than blaming each other. Avoid reacting emotionally to flare-ups as well, okay? It can be challenging, even negatively or positively reacting emotionally and making it into a really big deal can take away, but also not making it enough of a deal, right, can make it worse. Just saying, you're fine, get over it, push through it. That is bad too. Don't make them feel rushed either. It could be a challenge to do even the smallest thing. And we don't want to push that to the point where they give up because they simply don't have enough time to get to it. But also avoid treating them like they're fragile. No one wants to feel like they're a little porcelain doll that's going to break if you touch them. They want to be able to be independent. They didn't start this way. They don't want to be in this position, right? They want to get out of it. If you do these actions, if you don't avoid these things, you're triggering shame and stress. You're increasing their pain indirectly. Now, supporting someone in pain is emotionally demanding, and to continue to be supportive, you need to protect your own energy too. So some suggestions to benefit you as the family member is to set realistic boundaries. What are you capable of doing while continuing to do the other things you need to do? You need to take breaks for your own self-care. If you don't, you will fall into a spiral yourself. And you need to express your feelings, but do it calmly. Don't get aggressive about it. Let them know how you feel. Or find a therapist and talk to them about it, right? You've got options. Seek support if needed. This ties into the therapist thing, but also if you feel like managing their pain in their life because it's that bad, you need some assistance, there's no shame in that, right? It is, some people will break themselves helping other people. You do not want to do that. I actually have had one patient who's looking after themselves after spending years caring for their ailing parent. And now that their parent has passed, they're left in chronic pain, dealing with all of their own health problems because they didn't look after themselves as they went along. You're human too, and you deserve care and comfort. And honestly, it comes down to this idea, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, you have nothing to give. You can't. You don't have the energy. Big topic. It's a kind of an emotionally draining topic to talk about as well, but it is an important one. Supporting someone you love through pain is not about fixing them. It's about walking with them through the journey, right? It's about creating a home and a relationship where healing is possible. Be calm, be understanding, support, be stable, give them shared hope, so they don't feel that they're alone. Most importantly, this role is very powerful. As helpless as you may feel, you have the power to become a healing tool. Your presence matters. Your compassion can become medicine. It truly can. So for those of you who've stuck through this, those of you who are listening and are thinking about family members that you want to look after, thank you for being the kind of person that wants to support someone you love in a deeper, more holistic way. Because it's a big job. It's a role that we don't take lightly, but it's a role that our chronic pain patients need. It's something that even the littlest change could drop their pain a couple of points. It could improve their life in ways that you may not even think. So even if you adopt one of these things, or two, or three, or four, you can adopt all of them if you want, you're going to be making a difference. And trust me, they will thank you for it, and your relationships will thank you for it. So thank you everyone for joining me for this episode of the Pain Free for Life podcast. Hopefully this will get the message out. You're not alone, and we don't want our patients to be alone either. Take care, everyone. See you in the next episode.